What's going on, gamers? So in this video, I gotta call out Dreamcast Guy's Grift. The reason why is because it's misinformation. Uh, right here it says Nintendo confirms Switch 2 price increase coming. Oh man. See, man, yo, why? Why do this? Why do this? PlayStation 5 $1,000 in 2025. Where does it say that at? We ready? Nintendo president Shantaro Furukawa says if tariffs change, read this really quick. If tariffs change dramatically, let's get you the truth. They will have to raise the price of the Switch 2. Did he say that they're raising the price? They're not touching it. Once again, if tariffs change dramatically, we're gonna get it all in this video because I'm tired of this crap. At this time, the top priority, this is what we're doing, is to quickly popularize the Switch 2 hardware, meaning keeping it at $449 is a top priority right now. And the only way we see this ever changing is if Trump came in and hit what? We ready for this? Let's get some facts here. Let's get some facts here, right? Not BS. A significant portion of Nintendo Switch 2 consoles are being manufactured in Vietnam, with approximately a third of the total production coming from the country. The worry of anything significant would be China. Let's continue here. This is how we know if they decide to jack the price up too, if they're lying. That's one thing I like about Nintendo compared to other companies. They don't usually lie. They usually tell you the truth. They may be like ridiculous, but they're pretty open. Just like, you know, them coming after people, taking them to court. Like they're not really fake. They're just can just be elite douchebags. But getting back to the heart of the matter, though, Nintendo has strategically moved some of its production away from China to Vietnam and Cambodia. That's another base they're doing. Vietnam actually reasoned with Trump, according to Inside Intel, and what recently happened not too long ago. And that, according to what I understand, if there's reason, there's only a 10% hit. And Nintendo sees a 10%, it's like, oh, we'll take that, that's nothing. But if they start seeing, you know, it going a little bit crazy, like maybe like 70%, 80%, 50, 60, is probably going to start worrying them big time. Because they never sell hardware at a loss. That's just historically the way things work. But yeah, if they see something like that, they're going to adjust. So they're letting you know we're not jacking up the price because there's no tariffs really affecting us. That tells you a lot about Microsoft jacking up the price of their hardware. But you want to know why Microsoft is also doing that? Because where is Microsoft manufactured mainly at? Watch this, y'all. This is so you can understand this tariff situation better. Xbox hardware manufacture base. Just do this, y'all. Xbox consoles are primarily manufactured in China by companies like Flextronics and Foxconn. While manufacturing has shifted over time, China has become the central location for Xbox console production. So it's not even an American company doing Xbox production, it's in China. Intel manufacturing, or initial manufacturing, sorry, I don't know how the hell I said that, shift to China. We see this? Current Xbox consoles are primarily manufactured in China by companies like Foxconn and Flextronics. But the tariffs are paused over here, though. But yeah, I mean, you see what I mean? So there's a difference here. That hit is going to be harder for sure. They're going to be able to avoid it because Nintendo was smart. It says Nintendo has strategically moved some of its production away from China to Vietnam and Cambodia. Guys, NVIDIA also just literally is establishing a base specifically in USA. You wouldn't be doing that if tariffs were bullshit, so they're not. The stuff that we were calling out is people taking advantage of it without it actually being in effect, and people giving the gaming community the actual number and showing them, hey, look, it's actually going up by 75%. So this is the number right here mathematically, or content creators need to do it as well and get it out there so people can understand, okay, this is how it works. Now we understand that. So if something happens, we don't have to doubt it unless we see weird behavior, like jacking up the price when they're paused in a country that you're in where you mainly sell. It doesn't make any sense because it's not in effect yet. So you made up those prices. We don't. You guys get what I mean? Like we don't have a number. Like if you told me, oh, okay, and when Chinese products come into America now, it's going to be this percentage, and it's in effect right now immediately, and it's not paused. You see what I'm saying? Like if that was the case, then yeah, what the hell? And also, you're the richest company in the world, and you never dropped the price anyways. You could have just never dropped the price the rest of the generation. So there's really no that's what I'm saying. There's really no comparison of certain people blaming Nintendo too when they didn't jack the price up of their new hardware with new games, and Microsoft jacks up the price of 5-year-old hardware almost. You see what I'm saying? Like that has nothing to do with anybody else with them. They decided to do that with what tariff percentage? So yeah, that's my thing with this. So are we ready to get over and go to Dreamcast Guy? Because here it is. Nintendo confirms Switch 2 price increase coming. Guys, after what we just went through, where does it say that at? It's not going to happen, most likely.
Hey there, gamers. Dreamcast Guy here. And today we're talking about console prices, but specifically the PlayStation 5 and the Nintendo Switch 2, because technically, as I record this, it's exactly 1 month before the release of the Nintendo Switch 2, and a lot of people already think the system is over.
By the way, he's going to get it. And I think everybody should. If you're a gamer, why would you want to miss out on that great development? It doesn't make any sense to me. There's going to be some games you're going to want to play. Definitely if you missed a generation before. To me as a gamer, I'm just excited to see what these developers are doing now with the new settings that they have. Not that they're impressive, but hey, what are we going to do about it? You know what I mean? You can't do this and say, now put your games on PC and play them at max settings. That would be nice, but they're not going to do that. So yeah, that's what we have. So how does it look coming from Switch 1 to Switch 2? That's the way I'm looking at it because it's a hybrid device. I don't have an idiotic mindset saying, oh, but the PlayStation 5 is this and the Series X. I'm like, they are a console only. They can't go handheld. You know what I mean? So it's not made like that. So it's an inaccurate comparison. If you want to compare anything, just compare game development. And better graphics and better technology does not mean better development. I think we've seen that this generation, the worst generation of unfinished, broken, she, games and stuff. The Unreal Engine 5 and Sony and their canceled Rainbow she games and we're like 11 Concord, biggest flop in history. You're just seeing stuff at a level in a bad way that you've never seen before, but yet everything else, when you look at it from a tech standpoint, is better. Even like money, everything, staff, all of it. But yet, what's going on? Now we know what gaming is about, don't we? Don't we get that idea? It's not about better technology. It's about, are the developers better, with the publishers being better, with the community being better, right? Having that healthy feedback and all that. And all of that being better. See? Not because, oh, these specs. Doesn't matter if, look at this generation. See what I mean? That doesn't matter. It's still missing the point.
Overpriced. I'm definitely in that camp. $450 for what essentially is a pretty fancy tablet. I mean, I've liked every generation.
He has a Steam Deck. Like the hardware is fine. The Steam Deck is $399. It has no dock. It's unbelievable, and that came out years ago. This comes out years later. It's more powerful, has VRR, 120 frames per second, its own dedicated games to it. I don't understand how $50 more for all of that 3 years later. What I think at 399 it would have been a gold mine for the gaming community. That's what I originally thought they were going to do. But when I saw what they revealed, I'm like, okay, I don't have a problem really necessarily with the hardware. Um, and as I told you, when you look at $80 games too, other companies will drop their prices. The problem with Nintendo is they'll never drop that. I don't know. Maybe they may change that this generation. We'll see. But that's my problem with them, is never dropping the price.
Of Nintendo, because a lot of times they're different and innovative. The Wii U, the 3DS, having two screens on a system. It feels like a lot of times what you're paying for when it comes to Nintendo hardware is the creativity as much as the creative games. But
Yeah.
I'm concerned that these price increases, while they haven't been rolled out yet, they're going to be bad. I think they're going to be very significant. We're going to start to see a lot of $600 Nintendo Switch 2s and maybe a $1,000.
I don't understand why he does this when it's not a reality. Like this is my thing with him. Like, it's like he knows what he's doing too. It's like he's playing this game of like, here it comes for $600. It's like, but he lacks the knowledge, uh, which I think also as well is not knowing that, bro, their base is in Vietnam. Vietnam's not getting hit hard. So from the understanding of that, after what I just showed, it's not going up. It's going to stay that. And that'll be the entry affordable aspect left.
PlayStation 5 Pro before the end of 2025. But let's talk about it because this is official. It's not quite debuted, but we're starting.
No, it's not. It's not official. What is he talking about? There's no official PS5 at $1,000. Actually, as a matter of fact, right now, Sony is not jacking up the price, and they said they weren't. And we're going to see what happens, though. So, yeah, what is he talking about? They're also trying to change out their strategy so that they could deal with tariffs in a better way, too. You might have to look. You might want to look into that because I was just looking into that recently. So we're gonna have to see what they do. I think Sony is being more careful with Nintendo and not worried about Microsoft. They don't want to have Nintendo launch this year and take over so much that if they jack up the price, it'll hurt themselves. And they know the Switch 2 is around the corner. I think Sony's being smart by doing that. And I don't think a lot of people really thought about that and that idea. They know that they're going to be more of a competitor ever now. They're going to get COD. They're going to get third-party market share. Now that actually bothers Sony. You know what I mean? Because it's like before, it's like, you know, it didn't bother them as much. But I think now you should take them more serious, and they realize that. So they're looking at both now, not just Xbox, but also what the Nintendo Switch 2 is doing. And they still want to sell. So I think we're going to have to wait a little bit before we make any confirmations on that. But do I think that they would jack the price up? Oh, yeah, absolutely. But right now, I can't say so.
Starting to see the first of the math kind of being explained by CEOs. Let's get into it. Hi, hope you're having a great day. And if you could, please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, as I record this, they just rolled out the official first lane pre-orders. This is where Nintendo.com is now allowing people to actually pay for the Nintendo Switch bundles and the systems. And currently, it is weird to kind of consider that.
I already got my Mario Kart bundle done, so don't got to worry about that. We just got to pick it up at midnight. Oh yeah, you're gonna be seeing me streaming that. Look out for that. That's gonna be fun. You're gonna be seeing me streaming a lot of games. So yeah, I look forward to that fresh new entry into the console industry. Creativity and fun, like he was talking about. That's one thing I love about their worlds: aliveness, creativity, and fun. That's the point of video games. Not trying to be realistic and all this boring nonsense and stupid stuff.
Right now, we have seen price increases on a lot of different hardware. The controllers were already made more expensive by the tariffs, and obviously recently Xbox increased the price of the Series X up to $600. The 2 terabyte edition of the Xbox Series X is now $720. But right now, people are sort of in the spot where they're going, okay, should I buy these systems now? Should I rush out and try to, save up, buy a PlayStation 5 on a credit card? I definitely would not advise that. But there are some people that are kind of afraid, okay, should I buy stuff now while it's cheap? Oh, God, I hate putting that in quotes because they're just going to get more expensive. I am concerned that, yes, the prices are probably going up, and maybe even as early as July.
Yes, interested that he saw this because I saw this literally as soon as it got up. I usually look at Genki stuff. I have a lot of stuff I look at too. Get worldwide news every day. And I'm like, so he saw this, but he still chose to say, like in his mind, he wants to type the title for price increase. It's almost like a rage bait, like horde tactic, so that you could get people to rage at them to engage and grift and make money off of people. This shit is annoying to me. These type of people do not help the gaming community either. They just make things work because you're embracing the chaos and confusion rather than letting people know how things actually work and making them panic over something that's not real. Then you can simply tell them the truth. That's the annoying thing to me. And so I'm like, oh no, I got to do this video because it doesn't say that, and nowhere does it say PS5 is going to be $1,000 in 2025. If Ghost of Yotei is coming out in October and Sony says they don't plan on changing the prices, then that means that if they're going to announce that price for their next game, it won't be this year. Because what else would Sony's not going to launch that many games like that? They already announced what they're doing. Same thing with Marathon and all that. So there's no other game coming this year from Sony first party in that aspect like that, like a big hit like that. You have to wait till next year.
July. Now, this is the Nintendo president, Shuntaro Furukawa. Now, this guy, he released the statement technically 7 a.m. Texas time. And when I read this, I was actually a bit flabbergasted. But he says, yes, if the tariff changed dramatically, they will be having to raise the price of the Nintendo Switch 2 at this time.
Dramatically. So what is the possibility? Let's do some gambling aspects here if I do this. I said, okay. He already reasoned with Vietnam. He said, okay, it didn't maybe 10% then since things were cool over here. You're not really that much of a problem like China. Why would he go back and say, you know what? I'm just going to do 50, 60, 70, 80, or 100% here in Vietnam, even though we already agreed there's no problem over here. You know what I mean? Like we don't see that anywhere. Last time we checked, everything is fine in Vietnam. So according to that, logically, and by official intel, not grifting and making up stuff, it's highly unlikely that Vietnam is going to get hit with a tariff significantly. That's what he said. They said 10% because of the reason. So I'm trying to figure out how that's significant. So we have our answers here, y'all. So if they jack the price up in the future and it doesn't get hit, it's because they did that. And that would be a dishonest statement. Nintendo is not really like that. They don't really make dishonest statements like that. They usually tell you the truth. That's one thing I like about them. They're usually pretty much blunt. They're just open and elite douchebags. But other than that, I would rather hear from them than anyone else because they're usually transparent with their community. They don't hide sales. They share everything with you. That's one thing I like about them. They don't play that stupid game, and they're winners. So, yeah. What else is there to really say about this? I mean, at this point, it's like, let's read what they say and let's be real here, and everybody can understand this. And it's pretty obvious, and you guys know that he's bullshitting y'all.
Time, the top priority is to quickly popularize the Nintendo Switch 2 hardware. If the assumptions regarding tariff prices change,
which means that I want to sell a lot of copies, I don't want to jack up the price. I don't want to do that. If they wanted to jack up the price, they would have done it and made up an excuse and said, you know what? But they didn't come up with that excuse in a little bullshit paragraph. You got to give them respect for that. They didn't do that. They came in and told you the real stuff, and that is actually making sense. If it's significant, because we already know that the Vietnam history here, then we'll do that. That's the most straightforward shit I've seen. Microsoft shit was bullshit. It was bullshit. This is not BS. And they didn't jack up the price of the hardware. So, like, at this point, certain other people need to start facing reality and realize that, yeah, you're the one that's really the fanboy. Because that's the case here. Like, you know what I mean? Because we're getting to the truth of the matter here. And there it is right there. So we really don't need to watch more of this. We kind of got our answer here. This wasn't about watching this wholly, but this is more about just giving you the idea that he had the truth in front of his face, but he wanted to spin it into that title like that. And it's like, there's no concrete reality or evidence for any of this. As a matter of fact, it seems more than likely the exact opposite. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what y'all think. Pony, sit down. I know you're in here. Peace out, y'all.